Every rugby team has its superstars, the ones who light up the highlights, grab the interviews and dominate the headlines. But what about the players who quietly do the heavy lifting, game after game, rarely mentioned but absolutely essential? That's where Tupou Vaa'i comes in. While the world watches the Beauden Barretts, the Aaron Smiths or even the Ardie Savias, few realise that behind much of the All Blacks' recent stability, there's been a 6'6" powerhouse working in near complete silence. Tupou Vaa'i's story begins from the limelight at Wesley College, the same school that produced legends like Jonah Lomu. Even back then, those who watched closely saw something special. He wasn't just big, he was smart, disciplined, and moved like someone half his size. Despite his natural talent, Vaa'i's rise wasn't the kind that made headlines. There was no flashy YouTube compilations or viral moments. Instead, he built his reputation the old school way, with hard work, quiet leadership, and an understanding of the game well beyond his years. At just 19 years old, Vaa'i made his senior debut for Taranaki in the Mitre 10 Cup, now known as Bunnings NPC. It was clear from his very first professional games that he was more than just a big body. He understood space, timing, and positioning like a veteran. That calm intelligence didn't go unnoticed. Within a year, the Chiefs swooped in, adding him to their Super Rugby squad. Then, almost unbelievably, he found himself called into the All Blacks squad during the chaos of the COVID-affected 2020 season. It was a tough year for the international rugby, with bubbles, restrictions, and condensed schedules throwing teams into disarray. But despite the massive pressure, Vaa'i debuted against Australia like he'd been wearing the black jersey his whole life. Just 20 years old, he was suddenly standing among legends, and he didn't blink. As exciting as his debut was, it was what happened afterward that really defined Tupou Vaa'i's role. While others chased headlines with flashy runs and big post-match quotes, Vaa'i's made his impact in the trenches. In almost every key statistic that mattered, lineouts win, tackles made, ruck involvements, he quietly ranked among the best. Yet, he really got the public credit. In the modern game, locks are often celebrated for their big carries or dramatic tries. Vaa'i, on the other hand, built his reputation on doing the dirty work, the stuff that makes a real difference, but doesn't always make the highlight reel. Game after game, he was the key reason the All Blacks won critical lineouts under pressure or stopped opponents cold on the gain line. His tackle completion rate consistently sat among the highest for forwards, and his ability to read and disrupt opposition set pieces often shifted momentum when it mattered most. Even his demeanour set him apart. Where young players might have tried to force their way into the spotlight, Vaa'i remained quietly professional. Teammates and coaches repeatedly praised his attitude behind the scenes. He didn't just do his job, he raised the standard for others around him. In a sport where ego can often clash with teamwork, Vaa'i was a rare example of someone focused purely on the collective mission. That quiet influence started to earn him a different kind of recognition. Not from fans or social media, but from inside the changing rooms where it really counts. But his journey wasn't without its hurdles. Between 2021 and 2023, he suffered a few minor injuries. Nothing career-threatening, but enough to slow his momentum at critical moments. An ankle sprain here, a shoulder knock there, none of these setbacks kept him off the field for long, but they did allow other players to grab the spotlight during his recoveries. Around 2022, whispers began circling among fans and some commentators that Vaa'i wasn't aggressive enough compared to the other locks. The perception was that he lacked the raw edge needed to dominate games physically. But behind closed doors, coaches had a different view. According to insiders, they praised Vaa'i's discipline, his ability to stay composed, avoid costly penalties, and execute game plans with machine-like precision. In an era where many matches are decided by the smallest margins, that discipline was gold. As 2024 rolled around, a new challenge appeared, one that wasn't about injuries or public perception. After another strong Super Rugby season with the Chiefs, Vaa'i reportedly received serious offers from clubs overseas, particularly in Japan and Europe. Financially, the offers were massive, as top New Zealand talent always has been highly sought after by overseas leagues. For a young player who had already tasted All Black glory but still had his whole career ahead of him, it would have been easy to chase the paycheck. Many other players in his position have done exactly that, especially with the lure of shorter seasons and bigger salaries. But Vaa'i made a decision different. Despite the money and the chance for more relaxed rugby life, he chose to stay. He recommitted to New Zealand rugby, signalling that he wasn't finished building his legacy at home. In a time where loyalty is becoming rarer by the year, his decision spoke volumes about who he is, not just as a player, but as a person. That loyalty was rewarded almost immediately. With several senior All Blacks moving on after the 2023 World Cup, the national team entered a rebuilding phase. Vaa'i suddenly found himself in a leadership position, not because he demanded it, but because he consistently demanded respect. Teammates reportedly began calling him the Wall during training sessions, a nickname earned from his seemingly impenetrable defence and work rate at rucks. In a forward pack that was adjusting to the loss of veterans like Sam Whitelock and Brodie Retallick, Vaa'i became one of the anchors that new combinations were built around. His game didn't change dramatically. He didn't reinvent himself as some ball-running superstar. He simply kept doing what he had always done, winning lineouts, smashing rucks, making tackles, and lifting the standard for those around him. In matches against top-tier opponents like South Africa and Ireland, Vaa'i's contributions were often invisible to casual viewers, but crucial to the team's success. Whether it was a key lineout steal in the dying minutes or a quiet but brutal series of defensive efforts near the try line, he consistently came through when the pressure was at its highest. He wasn't the player scoring the match-winning try. He was the one making sure the All Blacks had the platform to score it. Looking ahead, many insiders believe that Tupou Vaa'i is destined for bigger things. While captaining the All Blacks is always a complex and political decision, there's growing belief that he could be the kind of leader who doesn't need the armband to shape a team. He's already been seen as a future captain for the Chiefs and Taranaki, and given how highly the All Blacks coaching staff rate quiet, respected leaders, it's not hard to imagine him wearing more responsibility in the black jersey in years to come. His story is still being written, but the foundation he has laid is undeniable. Tupou Vaa'i may never be the loudest voice in rugby. He may never dominate a Rugby World Cup campaign ad, or have fans chanting his name in the streets. But maybe that's exactly what makes him so important. In a game that often rewards flash over substance, Vaa'i is a reminder that the strongest walls are built with not noise, but with quiet, unbreakable strength. And when the biggest moments come, it's those walls that hold firm while everything else shakes. For the All Blacks and for New Zealand rugby, that quiet strength might be just the difference between good and great in the years to come. Thanks for watching this deep dive into Tupou Vaa'i's journey. And if this is some content you enjoyed, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.